Hi. I earlier in the pandemic had started this YouTube channel where I was describing how I was weaving the Nahin and the Raven's Tail. And I was in the middle of a blue and black and white, uh, very little white because it was the accent color. But I was in the middle of a Raven's Tail that combined Nahin and uh, Raven's Tail techniques. So if you missed those earlier uh, reports, then I encourage you to go back because there was lots of techniques I talked about. Now I am on to a Nahin robe, and I'm quite excited about this one. It's a diving whale. And if you really looked into the Chilkat Nahin weaving, you'll see that in all of the worldwide museums, there is usually a Nahin, which is commonly called Chilkat, in their collections. And it's most likely the diving whale pattern. And I have a theory about that. The diving whale, I think, crossed cultural boundaries in prehistoric times for the Northwest Coast. And we used this pattern, and it was a consistent, very conventionalized pattern for all three of the northern groups that weave these robes. And my theory is that we were canoe people, and that we really depended on the calmness of the waters around us to travel in our canoes, to war in our canoes, to harvest and gather and trade in our canoes. And so it was really important that the water be still for our canoes. Well, you know, not so many storms. And so we use these patterns on the things that we put in our canoes. And you'll see the pattern of the, what we call the Gunakat. I like to call it Ginga, because in our stories in the Haidas, they have the powerful being that lives in the water, but also controls the weather, the clouds and the wind and the waves. And so this powerful being is depicted in our Nahin robes as the diving whale. And so we all had reverence and respect for the ocean power. And so this manifests that vision of our belief in the power of our ocean. And so I think that this pattern is able to travel across the cultural boundaries because of that common respect for the sea. And then when the newcomers came, the outsiders, the Spanish, the English, the Americans, and then the tourists, they all noticed this art. And so the tourists wanted to buy the curios of the Alaska people. And so they, the northern Chilkat people, the northern Tlinkits, they started weaving these for the tourists. And they were pricey, like they should be. But the tourists did pick up these weavings. And so you'll see them all over in the collections of the museums in this world. Very little is seen of the earlier style, which is the Raven's Tail. But anyway, so I'm going through this process, and I didn't start it right at the beginning with you because I have this feeling that it's very personal between the weaver and the being that will be in the design. And so I wanted to get those major eyes out of the way. And also I have on the sides of these designs is the side panels are the ravens. Raven was a very important being in our world view. And he was there right in the beginning. He, she, them was right there in the beginning. And that every Nahin, not just the diving whale, most every Nahin and most every design that depicts the power of the ocean, also on the side panels will predict the raven. Even robes that were woven and worn for an eagle chief those ravens were still very important to all of our culture and in the Northwest Coast. So anyway, that's what project I'm working on, and I welcome you into the process. And like I say, we have the diving whale, and you'll see these big eyes up here, and they're facing up. They're not looking down. They're facing up, and that is the top of the diving whale design, and it's the top of it, it's his head. And a lot of people, and even anthropologists and ethnologists who have studied these things in the past, like Emmons and Swanton and Boas, they always were talking and confused about these patterns, and oftentimes they said this was the powerful tail, and that's why the eyes look up. But in my weaving an intimate relationship with this pattern now that I'm doing the diving whale, I've seen that no, this upper area is the main head, and these eyes that face up are the main eyes. And the lower set of eyes that I'll be working on, it'll be a while, but I'll get down there. Those were the powerful tail of the diving whale. And now you see this face, this central spirit face, that's, like I say, a central spirit of the being. And it's depicted with that human face, with the eyebrows, the nostrils, the nose, the mouth, the mask. And I wanted to get that done and completed before I started sharing my weaving with you, because I think that's very, like I say, a very intimate part of my relationship with my weaving and my robe that I'm completing. And I really feel strongly that the spirits are still there, and that the artists can create sentient beings like we and my ancestors did in the past. And so this feeling of that there is a separate entity here, and that I am creating this entity, even though I'm creating it here in the now with the contemporary world, I still feel like these patterns that came down from us, or to us from our ancestors, were very powerful in spirit. So anyway, thank you for joining me in the process. This will be it for today's presentation, just to explain the project that I'm going to be moving forward with in this space. So I hope you learned a little bit about the diving whale, and I hope you come back and will watch me weave. Hawa, thank you, and it's good to be back. Bye.